First contact and curiosity. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, the Zorn Empire had long considered itself the pinnacle of evolution. Their mastery of technology, coupled with their natural physical prowess, had allowed them to conquer and assimilate countless species across thousands of star systems. The Zorn, tall, muscular beings with iridescent scales and 4 arms, prided themselves on their combat abilities and strategic minds. It was on a routine exploration mission that the Zorn scout ship Nexus 7 stumbled upon a blue-green planet in an unremarkable solar system. Initial scans revealed a civilization that had barely taken its first steps into space, with primitive satellites orbiting their world and a single, fragile outpost on their nearest moon. The Zorn captain, Vexer, almost dismissed the planet as another easy conquest when something caught his attention. "Magnify Sector 7 Alpha," Vexer commanded, his golden eyes narrowing as he studied the holographic display. The image zoomed in on a clearing where 2 humans appeared to be engaged in some form of ritualized combat. Their movements were fluid, precise, and surprisingly effective. "Fascinating," murmured Zexna, the ship's xenobiologist. "They appear to be fighting, yet there's a grace to their movements that almost resembles a dance." Vexer nodded, his crest of sensory tentacles rippling with interest. "Indeed, and observe how they use their inferior 2-armed bodies with such efficiency. Scan the planet for more instances of this behavior." As the Nexus 7 orbited Earth, hidden from human detection systems, the Zorn crew became increasingly intrigued. They observed countless variations of what humans called martial arts, from the powerful strikes of boxing and the grappling techniques of wrestling to the fluid motions of Tai Chi and the explosive power of karate. "It's remarkable," Zexna reported after days of observation. "These humans have developed hundreds of distinct combat styles, each adapted to different situations and body types. And yet, they possess no natural weapons. No claws, no venomous glands, not even significant physical strength compared to other species we've encountered." Vexer found himself both puzzled and impressed. In all their conquests, the Zorn had never encountered a species that put so much emphasis on unarmed combat. Most civilizations relied on weapons technology, and those that didn't were usually naturally armed by evolution. "There's more, Captain," the ship's cultural analyst, Urex, chimed in. "These combat forms aren't merely physical. They're deeply integrated into human cultures. Many have philosophical and spiritual components. Some are practiced as sports, others as forms of meditation or self-improvement." The revelation sent ripples of excitement through the Zorn crew. Here was something entirely new, a species that had turned combat into an art form, a spiritual practice, and a means of cultural expression. Vexer made an unprecedented decision. "We will not conquer this world," he announced to his stunned crew. "At least, not yet. First, we must learn. These humans may be technologically inferior, but they possess knowledge that could be valuable to the Empire." And so, raking with thousands, as the first day of demonstrations came to an end, Vexer made an announcement that would change the course of galactic history. "We, the Zorn, humbly request to become students of humanity's combat arts," he declared. "In exchange, we offer our own knowledge and technology. Let this be the beginning of a great cultural exchange between our worlds." The human representatives, after much discussion, agreed. And so began an unprecedented partnership. Dojos across Earth opened their doors to alien students, while human martial artists eagerly boarded Zorn ships to share their knowledge with the wider galaxy. Little did either species know that this exchange would not only revolutionize combat techniques throughout the galaxy, but also challenge long-held beliefs about strength, power, and the true nature of mastery. The journey that began with curiosity about human combat was about to unlock secrets that would reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization. As the sun set on that first historic day, both humans and Zorn looked to the star-filled sky with a new sense of wonder and possibility. The era of galactic martial arts had begun, and the universe would never be the same. The challenge begins. As the Zorn delegation settled into their temporary quarters on Earth, the reality of their ambitious undertaking began to sink in. Captain Vexer, now appointed as the official Zorn ambassador to Earth, stood before a full-length mirror, studying his alien physique with newfound curiosity. 4 arms, superior strength, enhanced reflexes, he mused aloud. By all accounts, we should excel at these human combat forms. And yet, I sense we're about to face challenges we've never encountered before. The first official training session was scheduled to take place at a renowned dojo in Japan. As the Zorn contingent arrived, they were greeted by a diverse group of human martial arts masters, each representing a different style and philosophy. Sensei Hiroshi Tanaka, an elderly man with a serene demeanor, stepped forward to welcome the aliens. Honorable visitors from the stars, he began, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of strength. We are humbled by your interest in our arts. Today, we begin a journey of mutual learning and respect. The dojo's training floor was a flurry of activity as human instructors began to guide their alien students through basic stances and movements. The Zorn, accustomed to relying on their natural advantages, found themselves struggling with concepts that seemed counterintuitive to their biology. Zexna, attempting a basic karate punch, frowned in frustration. I don't understand, she said to her instructor. Why focus the impact on these 2 knuckles when I could strike with my entire fist? The instructor, a compact woman named Aiko, smiled patiently. It's about focusing energy, Zexna-san. Sometimes precision is more important than raw power. Let me demonstrate. With lightning speed, Aiko executed a perfect punch, her fist stopping mere millimeters from a training dummy. The power of the strike was evident in the way the dummy shuddered, despite not being touched. Across the dojo, Vexer was grappling with the concepts of Aikido under Sensei Tanaka's guidance. The idea of using an opponent's energy against them seemed alien to the Zorn, who were used to overpowering their foes with brute strength. Relax, Ambassador, Sensei Tanaka instructed. You're too tense. Aikido is not about strength, but about harmony and redirection. Vexer tried to loosen his muscles, a concept foreign to his species' natural combat instincts. As Sensei Tanaka demonstrated a throw, using Vexer's own momentum to send him tumbling to the mat, the Zorn ambassador began to grasp the profound differences between human and Zorn combat philosophies. Days turned into weeks, and the Zorn students found themselves both frustrated and fascinated. Their 4 arms, once considered an unbeatable advantage, often proved to be a hindrance in executing human techniques designed for 2-armed bodies. Yet they persevered, driven by a growing respect for the depth and complexity of human martial arts. As the training progressed, the human instructors also faced challenges. Adapting their techniques to work against the Zorn's unique physiology required creativity and innovation. New forms and strategies began to emerge, blending human wisdom with alien biology. One breakthrough came during a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class. Urex, the cultural analyst, had been struggling with ground grappling techniques. His instructor, a burly man named Carlos, had an epiphany. Urex, my friend, Carlos exclaimed, we've been approaching this all wrong. Instead of trying to make you grapple like a human, let's create new techniques that take advantage of your 4 arms. Together, they began to develop a new form of ground fighting that utilized the Zorn's extra limbs for complex holds and submissions. As word spread, other instructors and Zorn students began to collaborate on similar adaptations across various martial arts styles. Meanwhile, the impact of the Zorn presence on Earth was profound. News of the aliens' quest to learn human martial arts had sparked a global resurgence of interest in traditional combat forms. Dojos that had been struggling to attract students were suddenly flooded with eager learners, both human and alien. Governments around the world, initially wary of the Zorn, began to see the potential benefits of this cultural exchange. International committees were formed to oversee the sharing of knowledge, ensuring that it remained peaceful and mutually beneficial. As the weeks turned into months, the Zorn students began to show remarkable progress. Their initial clumsiness gave way to a growing grace and precision. Vexer, once frustrated by the subtleties of Tai Chi, now moved through the forms with a fluidity that amazed his human instructors. But it wasn't just the physical techniques that the Zorn were mastering. They found themselves deeply impacted by the philosophical and spiritual aspects of human martial arts. Concepts like harmony, respect, and the balance between mind and body were revolutionary to a species that had always equated combat with domination. Zexna, in particular, became fascinated by the meditative practices associated with many martial arts. She spent hours in quiet contemplation, exploring the inner landscapes of her mind in ways she had never thought possible. "I never realized," she confided to Aiko one day, "that true strength could come from stillness. Our species has always been in motion, always pushing forward, but now I see the power in being centered and calm." As the first phase of training neared its end, both humans and Zorn prepared for a demonstration of their progress. The event was to be broadcast across Earth and to the Zorn homeworld, a showcase of interspecies cooperation and learning. The night before the demonstration, Vexer gathered his fellow Zorn for a meeting. "We came here believing we would simply learn new fighting techniques," he said, his voice filled with emotion unfamiliar to his species. "Instead, we have begun a journey of transformation. These humans have taught us not just how to fight, but how to grow, how to think in new ways, and how to find balance within ourselves." The other Zorn nodded in agreement, each feeling the profound impact of their time on Earth. They had come as curious conquerors and were becoming humble students of a wisdom far deeper than they had imagined. As they prepared to showcase their new skills to the galaxy, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The challenge of learning human martial arts had only begun, but already it was clear that the impact would reach far beyond the dojo. A new chapter in galactic history was being written, one kata, one spar, one moment of enlightenment at a time. The stage was set for a demonstration that would change the way both species viewed themselves and each other. As the sun rose on the day of the event, Earth stood poised on the brink of a new era, one where the art of combat would become a bridge between worlds, a path to understanding, and a force for peace in the vast expanse of the cosmos. Unexpected difficulties. The day of the grand demonstration dawned bright and clear. The chosen venue, a vast stadium in Rio de Janeiro, was filled to capacity with a mix of excited humans and a contingent of Zorn dignitaries who had traveled from their homeworld to witness this historic event. The air buzzed with anticipation as the crowd waited for the show to begin. As the demonstration got underway, it quickly became apparent that while the Zorn had made remarkable progress, they were still far from mastering the intricacies of human martial arts. Vexer, attempting to showcase his newly acquired Aikido skills, found himself repeatedly thrown to the mat by his human partner, his forearms flailing in a way that elicited both gasps and chuckles from the audience. Zexna fared somewhat better in her karate demonstration, her strikes powerful and precise. However, when it came to the kata, the choreographed patterns of movements, she struggled to capture the flow and grace that her human counterparts displayed with ease. The Zorn dignitaries watched with a mix of confusion and concern. One leaned over to Vexer during a break and whispered, "I don't understand. We are stronger, faster, and have more limbs. Why do we appear so clumsy compared to these humans?" Vexer, his pride bruised but his resolve unshaken, replied, "It's not about physical attributes alone. There's something more at play here, something we're only beginning to grasp." As the demonstration continued, the difficulties faced by the Zorn became increasingly apparent. In a Brazilian jiu-jitsu exhibition, Urex found himself consistently outmaneuvered by a human half his size. The new techniques they had developed to take advantage of the Zorn's forearms were impressive in theory, but in practice, they lacked the refinement and instinctive application that came naturally to the human practitioners. During a weapons demonstration, the Zorn showed their prowess with their own advanced energy weapons, drawing appreciative murmurs from the crowd. However, when they attempted to wield traditional human weapons like the katana or the staff, their movements were stiff and unnatural. As the event drew to a close, there was a palpable sense of disappointment among the Zorn. They had come so far, worked so hard, and yet the gap between them and their human instructors seemed as wide as ever. In the aftermath of the demonstration, both species retreated to analyze what had transpired. The human instructors gathered to discuss the unexpected challenges they faced in teaching the Zorn. Master Wang, a renowned Wing Chun practitioner, summed up the situation. "We've been approaching this all wrong. We've been trying to teach them as if they were human students with a few extra limbs. But their entire way of thinking about combat, about movement, about energy, it's fundamentally different from ours." Sensei Tanaka nodded in agreement. "Indeed. And it's not just the physical aspects. The Zorn approach everything with a mindset of domination and control. Our arts are as much about yielding and adapting as they are about strength." Meanwhile, the Zorn were having their own crisis of confidence. Gathered in their quarters, they struggled to understand their shortcomings. "Perhaps we're simply not suited for these human combat forms," Zexna said, her usual confidence shaken. "Our bodies, our instincts, they're too different." Vexor, however, was not ready to give up. "No," he said firmly, "we're missing something crucial. These humans, with their fragile bodies and short lifespans, have developed combat arts that have endured for centuries. There must be deeper principles at work here that we have yet to grasp." As both species grappled with these challenges, an unexpected development occurred. Reports began to come in from around the world of humans who had been studying Zorn physiology and combat techniques. These innovative martial artists had started to develop new hybrid forms that blended human principles with Zorn capabilities. In dojos and gyms across the globe, humans were experimenting with four-armed forms, creating new kata and fighting styles that took advantage of the additional limbs. They studied Zorn anatomy, adapting pressure point techniques and strikes to be effective against the aliens' unique physiology. This burst of creativity and innovation reinvigorated the cultural exchange. The Zorn, seeing the enthusiasm with which humans embraced the challenge of adapting to alien physiology, found new motivation in their own studies. Vexor, inspired by this development, called a meeting with the human instructors. "We have been thinking too narrowly," he admitted. "We came here expecting to learn your arts as they are. But perhaps the true purpose of this exchange is to create something entirely new, combat forms that bridge our species and draw from both our strengths." The human instructors were intrigued by this idea. They began to work closely with their Zorn students, not just teaching, but collaborating to develop new techniques and philosophies that merged the wisdom of human martial arts with the unique capabilities of the Zorn. This shift in approach led to breakthroughs in understanding on both sides. The Zorn began to grasp the importance of concepts like centeredness, flow, and the unity of mind and body. They started to see combat not just as a means of overpowering an opponent, but as a way of achieving harmony with oneself and one's environment. For their part, the humans gained new insights into the potential of the human body by studying Zorn movement and strength. They began to push the boundaries of what was thought possible in terms of speed, power, and coordination. As weeks passed, the training took on a new dimension. Instead of trying to fit the Zorn into human martial arts molds, both species worked together to forge new paths. Hybrid styles began to emerge, four-armed karate that utilized the Zorn's extra limbs for simultaneous blocking and striking, alien-inspired yoga that pushed the limits of human flexibility, and zero-gravity combat techniques that drew on both species' understanding of movement and balance. The philosophical aspects of this exchange proved just as profound as the physical ones. Zorn meditation techniques, once focused on honing aggression and battle focus, began to incorporate human concepts of mindfulness and inner peace. Human martial artists, in turn, gained new perspectives on the nature of conflict and resolution from their alien counterparts. This period of intense collaboration and creativity was not without its challenges. Cultural misunderstandings and physical differences continued to create obstacles. There were injuries, frustrations, and moments of doubt on both sides. But with each setback came new determination. The Zorn, a species that had always prided itself on its martial prowess, found a new kind of strength in persistence and adaptability. The humans, faced with the monumental task of teaching an alien species, discovered reservoirs of patience and innovation they never knew they possessed. As the difficulties were confronted and overcome, a new sense of mutual respect and understanding began to grow between the two species. What had begun as a curious exploration of combat techniques was evolving into something far more significant, a bridge between two vastly different cultures, a means of finding common ground in the most unlikely of places. The unexpected difficulties had not defeated the project. Instead, they had transformed it into something far more profound than anyone had initially imagined. As both humans and Zorn looked to the future, they began to see possibilities that extended far beyond the dojo, possibilities that could reshape the very nature of interstellar relations and pave the way for a new era of galactic cooperation. The journey was far from over, but now both species were walking the path together, each step bringing them closer to a shared understanding of what it truly meant to be a master of combat, of oneself, and of the delicate art of coexistence in a vast and complex universe. The Great Tournament. As the collaborative efforts between humans and Zorn bore fruit, excitement began to build across both worlds. The idea of a grand interspecies martial arts tournament was proposed, not just as a demonstration of skills, but as a celebration of the unique fusion of combat styles that had emerged from their joint efforts. The announcement of the Great Tournament sent waves of anticipation through Earth and the Zorn homeworld. It would be held on a neutral space station orbiting Jupiter, a marvel of engineering that showcased the best of both species' technologies. The station, named Harmony, was designed with multiple gravity settings to accommodate various combat styles, from traditional Earth-based arts to zero-G Zorn techniques. As the day of the tournament approached, contestants from both species trained rigorously. The event wasn't just about individual combat. It also featured team competitions and demonstrations of the new hybrid styles that had been developed. Vexer, who had come so far from his initial struggles, found himself selected as one of the Zorn representatives. His journey from skeptical observer to dedicated practitioner had inspired many of his kind. Zexna, too, had been chosen, her mastery of human meditative practices combined with Zorn's strength, making her a formidable competitor. On the human side, a diverse group of martial artists had been selected. Among them was Kai Chen, a young prodigy who had quickly adapted to the new four-armed forms, and Aisha Malik, a veteran competitor known for her innovative blending of multiple Earth styles with Zorn combat philosophy. As spectators from across the galaxy gathered at Harmony Station, the atmosphere was electric. The opening ceremony was a spectacular display of both human and Zorn cultural elements, showcasing how far the two species had come in understanding and respecting each other. The tournament began with individual competitions in traditional styles. Humans and Zorn alike demonstrated their mastery of arts ranging from karate and kung fu to Zorn energy-based combat forms. The audience watched in awe as competitors defied gravity, showcasing techniques that seemed to bend the laws of physics. One of the most anticipated events was the debut of the new hybrid styles. Vexer and his human partner, Sarah Lee, performed a mesmerizing do form that combined Aikido principles with Zorn multi-line coordination. Their movements were so perfectly synchronized that it seemed as if they shared a single mind. Zexna's performance in the meditative combat demonstration left the audience in stunned silence. She moved through a series of impossibly complex forms, her forearms flowing like water, while maintaining a state of deep, trance-like focus. Many observers later reported feeling a sense of profound peace just from watching her. The team competition showcased the true potential of human-Zorn cooperation. Mixed species teams demonstrated how the strengths of each race could complement the other. In one particularly memorable match, a human Zorn team faced off against a pair of Galactic champions from a third alien race. The seamless way the human and Zorn fighters coordinated their efforts, combining speed, strength, and strategy in perfect harmony, led them to a stunning victory that had the entire station erupting in cheers. But the tournament wasn't just about physical prowess. Between bouts, there were seminars and discussions on the philosophy and spirituality of martial arts. Zorn scholars presented their interpretations of human concepts like Chai and karma, while human philosophers explored the implications of Zorn battle meditation techniques. As the days progressed, it became clear that the great tournament was achieving something far beyond its original intent. It wasn't just a competition. It was becoming a catalyst for deeper interspecies understanding and cooperation. One of the most touching moments came during a weapons demonstration. A human master of the Japanese sword arts was paired with a Zorn energy weapon specialist. Instead of simply showcasing their individual skills, they performed a breathtaking duet, the human's katana dancing in harmony with the Zorn's energy blade. The performance ended with the two warriors bowing deeply to each other, a gesture of profound respect that moved many in the audience to tears. The final day of the tournament arrived, bringing with it the most anticipated event, the Grand Champion bout. Through a series of grueling matches, the field had been narrowed to two finalists, Kai Chen, the human prodigy, and Zextor, a Zorn warrior who had shown remarkable adaptation to human techniques. As they faced each other in the central arena, adjustable gravity field humming around them, the entire station held its breath. The match that followed was nothing short of spectacular. Kai's lightning-fast strikes and acrobatic maneuvers were met with Zextor's powerful, multi-limbed defenses. They moved from Earth-normal gravity to zero-G and back, each shift requiring instant adaptation of techniques. The bout lasted for an intense 30 minutes, with neither competitor gaining a clear advantage. In the end, the judges declared it a draw, a fitting conclusion that symbolized the equality and mutual respect that had grown between the two species. As the tournament came to a close, the impact of the event was palpable. News broadcasts across the galaxy hailed it as a turning point in interspecies relations. The fusion of human and Zorn martial arts had created something entirely new, a bridge between cultures that extended far beyond combat techniques. In the aftermath of the great tournament, both species found themselves changed. Humans, inspired by Zorn dedication and unique physical abilities, began to push the boundaries of their own potential. Dojos on Earth started incorporating elements of Zorn philosophy and forearm techniques into their training. The Zorn, for their part, experienced a cultural renaissance. The concepts of inner peace, harmony, and the integration of mind and body began to influence Zorn society at large. Art, music, and even political structures on the Zorn homeworld started to reflect this new, more balanced approach to life. But perhaps the most significant outcome was the establishment of the Galactic Martial Arts Academy. Located on Harmony Station, the Academy would serve as a center for ongoing research, training, and cultural exchange. It would be open to all species, a neutral ground where the warriors of the galaxy could come together to learn, share, and grow. As Vexer stood on the observation deck of Harmony, watching shuttles depart for Earth and the Zorn homeworld, he reflected on how far they had come. What had begun as a curious exploration of human combat techniques had blossomed into something far greater, a new way of bridging the vast distances between worlds and cultures. Perhaps, he mused to Zexna, who stood beside him, the true art we've been learning all along isn't just about combat. It's about finding harmony within ourselves, with each other, and with the universe at large.